Viewer discretion is advised for the following clip I'm about to play. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres-Herrera, and you are watching or listening to the JTH show. Today, let's talk about the Gorilla Glue Challenge. Is that a thing? That's a thing now, apparently. Also, should Disney Plus be canceled or Gina Carano? And then finally, I want to talk about what might have happened in the massive car pileup that happened today in Fort Worth, Texas. But first, roll the intro. All right, welcome back to another episode of the JTH show. I really appreciate you guys being here. I can never and will never be able to say that enough. Also, if you don't mind hitting that like button, I know some of you guys don't know YouTube, but I do it, and let me tell you, it helps us a ton when you just take that 1 second to hit the like button. Also, I hope you guys subscribe if you like the show and what you're seeing here. In addition, if you cannot catch it here on YouTube, or if you're already listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public, thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. And let's jump into the stories of today, shall we, Josh?
Right, yeah, let's get right to it. So the first one, well, it's a bit of an update from yesterday's show, right?
Yeah. So we have the now apparently a Gorilla Glue challenge, and it doesn't appear like it has a lot of traction. However, we did catch a few articles from the New York Post regarding to the whole Gorilla Glue girl. Let's first give you guys a quick update. So we released an episode today regarding Tessica Brown, right? Which is the lady that got her hair in a bind, no pun intended, because she put a whole bunch of Gorilla Glue, which is not intended for the hair. I think we made that clear yesterday, okay? Well, what happened here is that she had essentially a free surgery done by an LA doctor who was able to come up with some kind of formula, some kind of, his own, by the way, compound to actually remove the glue, which is pretty damn cool, in my opinion. Yesterday, we did say that, this would be great press for him because, who knows if he was able to do it. But I will say, after seeing a few videos from TMZ and him doing it and talking about it, you know what? Bless his heart, because, wow, for him to come up with something in less than what? I don't know. Less than a few weeks probably, since he probably saw the viral video, and say, you know what? I actually came up with something to undo what essentially Gorilla Glue's or the company's entire business is built on. And then Gorilla Glue telling, by the way, Tessica Brown, I can't help you. And he's like, hold my beer. It's pretty impressive. I got to give the guy some credit, okay? There's an article in the New York Post who, at the bottom, there is a quote from the guy when he told TMZ that he initially thought it was a joke. But my office said, hey, can you remove Gorilla Glue from somebody's scalp? Again, I think it's pretty cool that he's like, good question. I don't think there's a lot going on right now. Let's figure it out. And he said, and quote, I looked up the compound and we figured out the science, how to break it down, he added. And again, long behold, boom, done. Her hair is, not too bad. So again, I saw some of the TMZ video. I don't know if I can use it because TMZ copyrights everything. But it appears that it was a lot of spraying, kind of combing of it, and finally, other than some severe irritation on her actual skin, on her actual scalp, she actually still has hair. I told Josh right before we started recording that one thing that kind of got me like, are you serious? Is that TMZ asked her okay, so what's next? What do you expect? What's going on? Just kind of like an update. And she was a little out of it because they had to give her some medication, right? Because they didn't know how this was going to work out. And one of her first reactions was like, well, I got to get myself into a salon or something. I got to get my hair taken care of. Personally speaking, it's like, Tessica, just leave it alone for a little bit. I know you're concerned over Valentine's Day, but just leave it alone, okay? I think you're gonna be fine. You know what I mean? So again, pretty cool. It would have cost her over $12,000, according to the doctor Michael Obang, who again offered to do this for free. So I think really damn cool. Okay, but don't let this become a challenge. And for that, we have to go to the next article. Oh, side note, according to another video that I came across, Tessica says that she never intended to sue. It was all fake news. She says she doesn't know where that came from. So I hope that is true, because yesterday, before I got to that video today, I was like, are you serious? Like, come on. Like, this is all you, okay? But, okay, so hopefully that is truly fake news. So let's go into the article for today. Also out of the New York Post, article headline, Gorilla Glue Challenge sent Louisiana man Len Martin to the ER. Now, this one actually kind of pissed me off a little bit, and I'll tell you why. So let me read first a little bit of the article. A Louisiana man who thought Gorilla Glue girl Tessica Brown was lying ended up in the emergency room himself after he applied the powerful adhesive to his lips. I mean, talk about zipping it. Talk about just dun-dun-duns. Len Martin, 37, said he tried out the Gorilla Glue challenge. There is no challenge. I'm sorry, I gotta just say that. Stop saying that, because I don't want it to become another tragic, stupid challenge like an example, the Tide Pod challenge, where young kids start doing this. There is no challenge. If anybody's right now watching this show or hearing the show and you're young, there is no challenge. Stop calling it that. But okay, the article goes on to say that, I guess to prove it was not that serious, and I quote, by the way, he said, not as serious as she was trying to make it. It's pretty damn serious. It's Gorilla Glue, super glue. Like, it's not supposed to come undone, removing the fact that a doctor figured out the science, as he says. It's not supposed to, okay? In the article, Martin says, I thought she was just playing around because I didn't think it was that serious. Actually, I tried it out before and actually didn't do anything for me. I don't know what he means by that. So I was like, okay, she's lying. And there is all these challenges going on. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And it went backwards. You fucking think so? You think? I thought it could lick it off. Oh, this is the part where I'm like, what? First of all, I don't even know this was intentionally written like that. I have no idea, but I'm going to read it literally verbatim, okay? I thought it could lick it off kind of to moisten it and pull it right off, but that didn't work. I'm sorry, I'm reading like a fucking 2-year-old, but that's how it reads, okay? What? What? I mean,
journalism at its finest from the New York Post.
I suppose, right? Now, to the defense of New York Post, watch them be like, dude, that's what he said. Now, I couldn't find a video to verify this, but this is insane. Okay, I felt like I was reading some kind of like intro to like one of those like adult movies. You know what I mean? One of those adult novels. Like, I thought I could lick it off. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. It's like, no, you should not be licking off Gorilla Glue. Okay. Furthermore, the article added that he ended up in the emergency room where a doctor performed a painful peeling. I can only imagine. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever had those things, Josh, where you have like a little, you're dry, right? And you're like, oh man, and then you do the stupidity of like biting it off, or you're like, it's just like you can barely see, and you're like, that hurts. Can you imagine peeling off super glue, or in this case, Gorilla Glue? Yeah, how stupid is that?
Yeah, and also, I'm not expecting the most amount of coherence from a guy who's just, super glued his mouth shut for more than one reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, what were you out to prove? Even if, by the way, even if hypothetically, Tessica Brown, this whole thing, by the way, which it was one of the theories out there that I heard on some comments, that it was like, oh, a very clever, some kind of, I don't know, like media or advertisement post by Gorilla Glue or performed by Gorilla Glue. Again, something that was like, to get, again, just the name circulating, which it would be horrible. or if that was true, by the way. Gorilla Glue sitting down. Can you imagine their executives? You're like, you know what? People don't have the name Gorilla Glue in their vocabulary enough. How can we create an advertisement to do that? And someone's like, hey, we should do an ad. We should do a commercial, Super Bowl. And someone's like, let's get a TikToker to glue their head. And sold. Let's do that. That should be great press. Duh. Obviously, that wasn't true. So here we have Mr. Martin thinking, that's all. It's not true, man. It's not true. I'm telling you right now, it's not true. It's fucking BS. And here he's like, you know what? I'm going to prove it. Hold on a second, okay? Lick it, as he said. Yeah. Just like chopstick. No, or chapstick. Absolutely not. By the way, later on, after I guess the issue, he added some quotes on here. This is definitely not one to try. Let's just stop this now. It's very harmful, Martin said. How about you just stop it, Martin? Because I hope not. Nobody else is out there saying, yeah, I'm with you, Martin. You know what? I'm going to do it to my fingers, which some people have done, I'm sure, by the way.
Yeah, I've done that so many times just by accident. I might be super gluing. Actually, funnily enough, I got some super glue here.
Yeah.
And it does get stuck like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think what Martin actually said that they couldn't write because it wouldn't make any sense was,
So guys, this is not a challenge. I wanted to bring it up because yes, it was funny, but I understand that it can actually be very dangerous. Okay, as a doctor even said in the in Tessica's case, that it could have been a lot worse, right? There's some stuff that he mentioned that made a lot of sense. Like, I guess the ponytail she had for a while was very stiff, couldn't sleep, the stress, of just your hair. It's serious. It can be serious. So please don't. I implore you. Please, if you hear anybody in your family saying about the Gorilla Glue challenge, shut that shit down. Like, stop it. It's not a thing, okay? It's not like the ice bucket challenge for some kind of good purpose or charity. This is not a thing, okay? Please. So, just something for you to keep in mind. And with that, let's move on to the next story, which is a bit more serious, but it's at the same time a little... I don't know. It's a little funny and controversial. It's not funny, I'm sure, for the actual star, Gina Carano, right? And for that, we're going to turn over to the Daily Mail. There's an article, pretty big, long headline, but it reads, Cancel Disney Plus begins to trend after firing of Mandalorian actress Gina Carano. Disney is accused of double standards after 2018 tweet from co-star Pedro Pascal emerges comparing eye sensors to Nazi camps. Ooh, that's a big mouthful. Let's first address what happened with Gina herself before we go into Pedro Pascal's a tweet. So the article here is referencing a tweet by Gina Carano or some kind of social media post. Actually, I don't even know if it is a tweet. Either way, it's something that she put out there in the world through her social media. The post reads, Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers but by their neighbors, even by children. Sad face emoji. She added, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that they get to a point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews. The government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is this any different from hating someone for their political views? And, there's a picture of a woman who apparently or probably was a Jew, and she's running, and there's like children running after her and people throwing things at her possibly. And what she's trying to hint here is that Republicans right now are under attack, right? Conservatives, because everything that has happened in the internet in the last year, everything from Trump being banned to Parler being essentially eradicated. And there's a lot of other, self-proclaimed Republicans / conservatives that they feel that they consistently get suppressed, right? Or taken down. I've talked about this before on other episodes, but I'll give you my point of view. Is there some level of suppression that happens in the internet without saying anything else? Yes. My belief, yes. Is it directly always linked to your political views? It's hard to say, right? While there's a lot of evidence from people that have said, hey, I posted something that was on the conservative side and it got taken down, it got flagged. I also have seen it actually from the left in this case, right? I don't know why I always do this. This is my right, JT. My left, my right. I don't know why I do that. I'm sorry. I'm dyslexic. So from the left, okay, I have seen people say something similar. Now, can we say that usually this is attributed to radical point? Possibly. I'm not going to sit here. I'll be the last person to sit here and defend any of the big social media platforms. I have sat in this very chair and critiqued those people. In fact, I was in an interview not too long ago, before I forget. Go check out AI Nerd, because we did an interview, and while we were talking, I cannot make this shit up. You can chuckle this off to saying, "Oh, haha, your tech, maybe upgrade your tech." Okay. I was on his channel being interviewed, and every single time we spoke about, well, just put it this way, slightly negative and what has happened to me, like my takedown of Instagram, my first original account, my screen went green, completely green, to where you can hardly see me. Go check it out. I'm not lying. It's not on my channel. It's on his channel. And even, our reactions are as genuine as they can be, because we're talking. He's like, wait, you just went green. And then when I went to talk about giving money to the social media platforms and, sort of speaking positive about the platforms, it fixed itself. Yes, people can start, looking into it and say, oh, it's because you have your Rode Procaster or your camera connected to your PC. And sure, you can dissect it all you want that way. But that did happen, right? Now, what other things have happened to me? Again, my social media, my actual account been completely demolished, taken down, no explanation. But I have also heard from other people some of their stuff being taken down. Is it always politically driven? It's hard to say. Even I can sit here and be like, yes, for a matter of fact, which goes back to Gina's post. Can she say, oh, what happened to people in the Holocaust is the same thing that happened to, or is happening, right, to her criteria, to conservatives or slash Republicans? It's a very stupid comparison. Okay. Do I agree, on the other hand, that she should have been fired? Ready? No. Oh, a lot of people are going to be like, you down, thumbs down. I'm sorry. I don't, because I'm not going to contradict myself with what I've said before in other shows, right? There are limits to what you should say online in terms of, an example, pure 100% without denying it. Right? If you were to read someone's hate speech, you'd be like, dude, that is hate speech 100%. Okay, I'm all for that being reported and being dealt with, right? What happened with that country singer, keep forgetting his name, doesn't matter, but him outright in a video saying the N-hard, N-R, word, right? That is beyond just disgusting. Mm-hmm. In this particular case, right, we have a woman, an actress, giving her political view. Did she make a stupid comparison? Yes, I already said yes. I think it was a stupid comparison. I think there's hardly anything you can compare that's happening to us right now in modern day to the Holocaust. For F's sake, come on. I've said things like, hey, like an example, what I said in the previous video, hey, marking someone with a sticker or something feels a lot of like what, Hitler tried to do with the Jews, right? The concept of a shitty thought of saying, I'm going to mark you. But I'm not comparing it to the Holocaust, right? Mm-hmm. In this particular case, to say like the censorship of a group is the same thing as what happened to the Jews, it is a little out there and a little radical. But does that warrant for her to get fired? No. Now, I will say, by the way, before anybody tells me, oh, or JT, you don't know that she said other stupid shit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes, I know. All right, I know. There are other things that the actress has come out and said, like certain posts that, again, follow a radical thought process, right? Here's the thing, guys. we have to understand that we need to be okay with people voicing their political views. I've said that, I think, I don't know how many hundreds of times at this point. We have to be okay with that. When it's completely disgusting in terms of like hate speech, pure hate speech. I know it's difficult sometimes to explain it. I mean, if I'm throwing some really bad, shitty, derogatory terms at people, and I'm even calling for like shooting them and stuff like that, hey, this does not apply to that. What I'm saying, it does not apply to that. In fact, you should be forwarded to the authorities. Side note, recently I tagged the FBI on a post. I'll see if I can find it and put it somewhere here, where there is a creator out there by the name of Paris Hilton. Not to be confused with Paris Hilton, which is like the heir to the Hilton hotels. No, Paris Hilton. I'm not sure if I'm saying the name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. He is a creator, controversial. The guy is he's very, flamboyant in the way he does a lot of his posts and what he does on social media. Again, controversial guy. I don't think he's a bad, evil guy that deserves for people to literally at him and say shit like, I cannot wait for this person to die. I cannot wait or something bad to happen to him. That is disgusting. That's involved and includes in what I'm saying with the hate speech, with things like wishing or, maybe even suggesting that someone should hurt someone. That is not the same as what Gina did here, right? And I responded to the guy. I'm not going to be hiding behind anyone. I said, hey, this is ridiculous. This is BS essentially. And I at the FBI, and someone's like try to say, oh, why are you adding the FBI? LOL. Because there needs to be accountability for that kind of shit. For you to be wishing death on someone or wishing, again, for someone, and it's disgusting. Even if you don't agree with what Mr. Hilton, right, says and does online, I don't wish that upon the guy. I don't agree with a lot of things I see from people say, whether it be conservative point of views or liberal. But I don't sit there and be like, oh, I wish someone fucking killed you. That's disgusting. No one should do that. Again, what Gina did here is not the same. They should do a stupid comparison. Yes. And with that, I will say, this is where an example, the Daily Mail is saying that, well, it's kind of hypocritical of Disney, right? And maybe Disney should be canceled, which, by the way, tons of people have started a hashtag and everything about it. In a old tweet, which, the internet is forever, guys, so it's out there, Pedro Pascal himself had something kind of, controversial as Gina. He put hashtag This Is America. And he put a picture, right? I'll put it somewhere here, of a picture of Germany, 1944, of children behind these barbed wire, right? This fence that were clearly in some type of concentration camp, and then compared it on the bottom with America 2018 with kids that were allegedly in cages. Not true, by the way. It's like, so a lot of people have come out and said this is complete BS. Like, those are not the cages, first of all, that kids were behind here in the U.S. because of Trump's policies. No. I mean, maybe he couldn't find a picture, which would be kind of like, are you serious? Everybody saw those. It was more like, instead of these like actual like iron bars, they were more like the chain link fence. So people are like, dude, you totally try to, use some inflammatory, shit out there. Why are you not canceled? And by the way, take this from a guy that actually liked Pedro Pascal. But I do see what the Daily Mail and many other people are pointing out, like the hypocrisy behind Disney Plus's decision. Now, it was supposedly Lucasfilms directly who said, we're cutting her. This was disgusting. We don't want anything to do with Gina, right? And many people now have come out and said, this is freaking BS. You've had so many people that were fired. An example, there's a tweet here example of James Gunn, who in the past said some weird shit, some not acceptable, he used some unacceptable language, and then they rehired him. They fired him, and then they rehired him. And this one, a guy on Twitter, can't pronounce his last name, he said, Disney fires James Gunn after old tweets about rape, pedophilia. And then they rehired him back. So again, there is definitely some hypocrisy that is being outlined here. about Disney. And the question is, okay, well, fine. For all the inconsistencies and BS moves that Disney has done, maybe it's time to cancel Disney Plus. Literally, like not just like on social media, but like people have gone out and said, here's my tweet, here's my receipt, as they call it now, canceling my subscription for Disney Plus. So, it's out there, guys. Is it going to hurt Disney? It's hard to say because they did target a woman. And now, right now, there's a lot of movement behind, right, protecting women's speech. And it could be said, right, that this is a company, yet again, a company possibly ran by just a bunch of men silencing women. But it's up to you guys. I mean, what do you guys think? What do you think, Josh?
Well, it's. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't see. I think a lot of it does come down to money, because in the end, money does make a lot of this stuff, That's probably why this guy was fired and then rehired. He was probably fired and then, I don't know, they might have lost a lot of viewers. And then they're like, oh, crap, how can we get that money back? Well, we're going to have to rehire him, I guess. But I think as far as when it comes to the case with Gina here, the worst thing about her tweet is her grammar. It's not really anything more than that. It's not really hate speech. Is it misguided and stupid? Yes. When celebrities try and make... I think the worst thing about it as well is she probably wrote that and thought, this is so profane.
Yeah.
Profane to her personal assistant. She's like, yeah, sure, Gina, just post it.
Yeah.
Sends it out, and then, this shitstorm happens. I mean, should you have gotten fired over it? I think it's a bit heavy, but I don't know. There might have been a lot of other little reasons that Disney were trying to look to fire her. But
there were, by the way.
As well,
yeah, they were.
Oh.
They said that they were supposedly that there was like the last. This was the last straw. I guess there was some. I don't know if it was leaked. I don't know if you want to call it leaked or inside information or whatever. They said that this was like one of the things that they were looking for something to let her go because she had past controversial comments, likes, like I said before, on other posts. Right. So Lucasfilms, I guess, which is owned by Disney. They're like, all right, one more thing, and you're like X, and here it is, So
yeah. Well, I guess that's it. And I guess Disney always tries to distance itself as far as it can from any kind of anti-Semitism because of its, shall we say, rich, colorful history with the subject.
Yeah, and people are like, wait a minute, Josh, what are you saying?
Wait, the screen's turning green. Oh no.
Guys, look it up yourself. Look it up yourself, guys, if you guys don't believe us. The founder of Disney was not known to be the biggest, I don't know what do you want to call it, lover of the Jewish community or believer. I mean, what's the term,
The biggest fan, I guess you could say. Biggest fan.
Biggest fan. Okay, and I get. So look it up yourself, and it is possible that due to its, like Josh puts it, its color for history, they're like, we're going to try to now be very extreme with anyone, right, that tries to go down that route. Is this the silencing of conservatorship? Again, it's some people are going to argue and, yell red in the face. Yes, it is. This is bullshit. But you gotta try to see it from both sides, right? I mean, if you see it from a non-conservative, I believe that people should definitely, speak up and say, here's an example, which is what they're doing with Pedro Pascal, right? Okay. Let's get to the last story. And the last story is unfortunately very devastating. It's very sad, but I wanted to talk about it because I have an opinion that I had voiced before with my wife about it that I think plays into this, what happened today. So let's get into the article here coming out of the Dallas-Fort Worth CBS local. Headline, at least 6 people dead after pileup involving over 130 vehicles traps drivers. Shuts down I-35 West in Fort Worth. It's extremely devastating. You saw a little clip there at the beginning of the show. It was a very, very serious crash. It happened very early in the morning. According to the article, a multiple car pileup involving more than 130 vehicles along the Interstate 35 in Fort Worth shut down the highway Thursday and left multiple people trapped in the vehicles. During an update Thursday afternoon, officials in Fort Worth confirmed that at least 6 people had passed away who have not been publicly identified were killed in the crash. Let me read the whole thing again. During an update Thursday afternoon, officials in Fort Worth confirmed at least 6 people who have not been publicly identified were killed in the crash. Officials said at least 36 people were transported to hospitals and that a total of 65 people sought medical attention from the crash. The pileup happened around 6:30 in the morning after freezing rain and sleet fell overnight and into the morning, leaving the roadway across North Texas wet and slick. So listen, guys, I do want to add some of my points of views because, as some of you guys know, I came out from California and decided Texas was my new home. I like Texas. I don't live anywhere near Fort Worth, but there is a common thought, mentality, belief that is an example. If you are in the last lane, you can go as fast as you want, right? That means that if you are driving speed limit, even if a little bit over speed limit, let's just say 65, because that's, by the way, some of you guys are not in the U.S. The usual speed limit in the U.S. is 65 miles an hour. If you're going 70, you might be going 75. If the person behind you is going 80, 90, you need to move, right? And if you don't, they'll like tailgate you. I mean, speeding here in Texas is in my opinion, a very serious problem. Now, people, when I came out here, I asked, hey, so what's the thought around speeding and, stuff like that? I wanted to find out, like the ticket and stuff. Not that I speed, but I was, finding out what's going on and where I'm going to live. And, I was told like, hey, there's cops out there and be careful because they'll ticket you the average, blah, 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 blah. But I have heard continuously in different conversations, things like, oh, I was ripping ass down the blah, blah, blah. And man, this car was trying to, act like he wasn't going to move. And I just flashed my lights, like different conversations, not from people that necessarily know directly, just literally it happens like all the time. You can go pump gas, go to the supermarket, and you'll hear people, English and Spanish, right, have comments. Like it's a thing. And I'm way out here on West Texas. This happened more in the center, more towards the east of Texas. So it's like statewide, right? And I've gone to Dallas because I used to live in Oklahoma and I saw it, like I lived it. Now, I traveled across the country and I've seen these semis just, it's crazy the tailgating that happens between them. I was telling Josh that if you were to park these semis, right, the way they're traveling down the highway, and you somehow got between the two semis, you couldn't do this between the two trucks. That's how close sometimes I've seen them myself, right? And they're not going 40 miles an hour. Some of these are passing each other, just passing because they're trying to maybe get to where they're going because of the load they're carrying. I don't know the business of freight, truckers. I don't know if they get paid more. I have no idea. It doesn't really matter when you look at what can happen, and it did happen, right? Now, you can argue and say, well, JT, that's because of the road and the weather. Come on. It's not because of the actual drivers. Stop. Critical thinking, guys. All right? A lot of the times, truckers especially, I know as just a regular citizen, when they start announcing, hey, we might get really bad weather conditions, rain, winds, in this case, ice, right? There's a line way at the bottom of the article that, I don't know, it did piss me off. I'm not gonna try to hide it. Why? Because according to the article, let me find it. Okay, here it is. According to the article, Howard, I'm assuming he's maybe a commuter, a driver. He said, you don't see the ice till you feel it. You can't stop. So I steered off into the wall. Then the people behind me just bam, bam, bam. I have lived in places where I had to drive on ice, which is different than driving on snow. Again, you get notifications. You are told ahead of time to, use your best judgment. don't be stupid, essentially, right? And I've seen people that they're driving like it's summertime, even though you can clearly see it right in front of you. You will see people on the side of the road knowing that they probably just crashed, and you'll have vehicles just hauling ass down the freaking side of the road, or I'm sorry, on the road, even though they just saw a crash. Traveling again cross country, I've seen semis overturned, and here it goes, other semis going just as fast. So what happened here is devastating, as you saw in that video. It is, amazing. Maybe even heaven sent that, and I'm not trying to be too religious here, but that more people didn't die. All right, it's a tragedy that 6 people are already confirmed. Hopefully, it won't go beyond that. But we have to take, I guess to my Texans and to anyone else out there that disagrees with what I'm about to say, you got to take this into consideration. And saying it's not that you're the best driver and you're like, I don't know, this Fast and the Furious Vin Diesel can be, a stunt driver person. It's not about necessarily your skills. You got to get your head out of your ass, right? Because if you were in a pileup, what are you going to do? Blame everyone else around you? If someone, God forbid, or related to you died, what are you going to do? What, you're gonna make everyone be just like you and drive just like you? No. Driving, sharing the road, it's sharing that responsibility, right? It's not about just that you're the best driver. It's that you need to understand that there's other people that maybe are not as good as you. I'll give you all the credit in the world that you want. So when I drive myself, I do slow down. I am that guy that says, I don't give a shit, dude, if you're like beeping and honking your lights, right? Because you're not going to make me go faster. Then I get into a car accident. You're going to freaking probably rear end me. And then we're going to end up in something like this. Especially if it's raining, winds, or in the case of snow or ice, rather. You just don't. You just slow the fuck down, right? Do you need to get somewhere? Yes, but I'm pretty sure I think anyone would agree with me when I say that you'd rather get there alive.
Right. I mean, yeah, look at that footage that you sent over. It's absolutely breathtaking. It's pretty strong stuff. I mean, it's kind of funny. It just made me remember of the Gorilla Glue thing that we just spoke about. Unfortunately, sometimes we just can't trust people not to be, mind my discretion, complete freaking idiots. Do you know what I mean? We just cannot trust that sometimes, which is really unfortunate that we can't trust people not to put glue in their hair or super glue their mouths shut or drive the speed limit. I mean, the only time that I've seen, I guess, people driving fast actually work is in the autobahns in Germany, where they don't actually have any speed limits. There's like highways there in Germany that have no speed limits whatsoever. As far as their accidents, I don't think there are that many. But I don't know. It seems that it's a very aggressive way to drive, maybe in the States, maybe just in Texas. I don't know. But it seems that, yeah, the road is a pretty dangerous place. And like you said, you just have to use your discretion. You don't just drive. I remember when I used to drive in England, we used to get icy, snowy weather, all that kind of thing. And, I wouldn't go that fast because, well, first of all, my car couldn't go that fast because it wasn't very good. And the second reason was because that's just what you do. If you fall off the road, I used to live in the countryside, you're just going to fall off the road. The roads are very thin. So if there's snow and ice, don't be an idiot. Drive a bit slower. Make sure that you're taking everything into consideration, that your brake speed on a dry, flat road is going to be different to that of maybe a wet or icy road that's at a slope or something like that. It's just common sense. Unfortunately, we seem to be lacking.
Well, you know what to say about common sense is not that common. Now, I will say and add that, I think the biggest problem in this pileup, unfortunately, obviously, other than the tragic deaths, is that you had so many semis, right? Semis that just, they're like missiles. They really are. I'm not trying to be, over the top here. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but you got to look at them like that, right? That they're traveling, again, I've seen it myself, guys, 70 plus miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. And if now you're adding ice or conditions like snow and rain, and they can't stop, there's no stopping that very small sort of missile that I'm trying to describe here. Now, it doesn't appear that any of these semis were hauling, an example, something like gasoline. Because if they were, just imagine what would have been the outcome. In this particular case, there's definitely a lot of semis, but the damage they did there, as you saw in that one clip, that vehicle, that little truck appeared to be like a napkin. It's devastating, to just imagine, the horror of that. We got to take more responsibility, and we got to understand that it's not just about us, right? It's not just about you. I always say that on the show because I feel like that's the common thing now, the feeling it's like, well, I'm a good driver. Well, that's because those guys are idiots. Because if you knew how to drive like me, and it's like that same thing for like the Gorilla Glue thing, or anything nowadays. So, but yeah, unfortunately, guys, I'll leave it there. Unless Josh, you have something else you want to add.
Just a little quote from my grandmother, actually. I think she put it best like this: better 5 minutes late in this world than 30 years early in the next.
Damn. Oh, that was actually pretty profound there. That's wow.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, very, very, very well said. And with that, guys, remember those words. And we appreciate you guys sticking to the end of the show if you're still here. Don't forget to hit that like button. If we earned a subscription, I hope we have. Please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, see ya.